first of all, talk to me about whether Greece is a safe investment destination. Why should international investors go to Greece at the moment?
Today is an historical day because now Greece can walk on its own 2 feet, it can have free access to market. And I really think that the reforms, the considerable amount of reforms which have been realized, some 450 reforms, make Greece a much more secure country. Financial services are now much stronger. The public administration is of higher quality, and the social and economic system has been considerably improved. So yes, I think this is an attractive destination, and that now investors can trust Greece. So much has been done during these 10 years, 8 years of program. Greece had a deficit of 15%. Now there is a surplus. Greece is really now on the right track, I believe. Even if I know that the Greek people still suffer, and that's a major source of preoccupation for me. Yes?
Well, yeah, and how can you be sure that actually Greece won't be back in crisis? Is genuine debt relief the only way to assure that?
You know, debt relief is something that can be seductive. But first, pacta sunt servanda, debt has to be reimbursed, and this is just the taxpayers of other countries' money. And if you can convince the German people that they have to renounce to something like 80 billion euros of debt on Greece, then you are much stronger than I am. So I think that there was never an appetite for haircuts, and that even we can say that it's not good that there would have been a haircut, because again, debt has to be reimbursed. But there are now some short-term and medium-term debt measures that are going to alleviate a lot the debt burden on Greece. And I think that we can say that the debt sustainability is also on the right track. That's what our studies really testify.
Commissioner, good morning. Guy Johnson. The missing piece, though, still seems to be growth. The structural reform that is necessary to put Greece on a decent growth platform just doesn't seem to still be there.
Well, if you move back just 6 years ago, there was a recession in Greece of something like 5% per year. And we all know that Greece has lost 27% of its GDP, which is really considerable. Now we have a growth forecast of something like 2% for the years to come, and I'm quite certain that the growth potential of Greece can be improved, especially if investors show that they trust the reform in this country. This country, I know it very well, is an innovative, creative country with a lot of assets, and the first asset is the human capital, the Greek people themselves. So I'm quite confident that now we've got very more solid structures than in the past, and that we can conquer a better level of growth. But now Greece is on track. Yes, it is on track.
But Commissioner, the big difference between the other programme countries and Greece is that lack of growth. Ireland is growing and growing strongly. Spain, all these other countries, if you look around Europe and you think about what has happened, look at Portugal, look at these countries, they are growing in a way that Greece simply is not. Why the difference between these two groups?
You know, we must look carefully at this past in history. It happens that I've been involved in those programs for quite a while. I've been finance minister in my country, France, before joining the European Commission. And you know, growth in Portugal or in Ireland or in Cyprus came after the exit of the program. The fact that these countries went back to markets, recovered their own sovereignty, were free to define their own economic policy. The fact that investors from abroad show confidence on them helped them a lot. But no, after the exit of the program, growth in Portugal, for example, was not as high as it is today. So what I really hope, and I think possible, is that Greece now enters into the same success story as other countries that exited program. And we wouldn't have taken the decision to end the program and to end it successfully if we didn't believe that the reforms that are now decided and that needs to be re-implemented totally in Greece were not capable of creating that success.
Commissioner, what are your stress levels like when you look at Italy? Is this the next country that will need a bailout?
Italy is a country which we need to monitor as far as the debt to GDP ratio is concerned. It's about 130%. But Italy is a strong country. Italy is a big country. Italy is the third largest economy in the Eurozone. Italy has also very strong assets. I would say that no, I'm not frightened about Italy. I'm prepared to have very solid discussions with the Italian government on the next budget of Italy, which needs to be credible enough. Because I think that the place of Italy is at the heart of the Eurozone, and for that you need to respect the common rules of the Eurozone.
But Commissioner, given what happened with the Genoa Bridge and the tragedy and some of the words that we heard from Matteo Salvini, do you believe that he's itching for a fight with the Commission?
I hope not. I think that would not be fruitful for anybody. I think it's not time to point fingers. It's now time to be with these people who are victims of this tragedy. It's not time to discuss about any totally different nature of public finances. It's time to share a priority, which is necessary for Italy and for the Italian people, is a priority for public investments. We've done a lot to authorize Italy to invest more. It's time that the relevant investments become a priority, and that is up to the Italian government to decide. No, there must not be and there cannot be a confrontation between Italy and Europe. That would be silly.
Silly. Do you think, though, that the Italians have a point? Europe has a lot of crumbling infrastructure. It would be useful if some of that was excluded from the current budget rules. Europe needs growth. Spend on infrastructure.
If you look at the amount of money authorized for investment in Italy, you can see that there are some like 2.5 billion for structural funds, 8.5 billion plan has been adopted for especially the motorways, and 12 billion euros have been decided in the framework of what we call the Juncker plan. So again, the question is not that much the amount of money, it's the use of public money to make it efficient and to select the right investments. And so I think that our rules are flexible enough, and Italy has been benefiting of all flexibilities existing. And
Commissioner.
so we must not change the rules. We must now have the right priority for investment.